Welcome to the Inside Pitch. I'm Christopher Lockhart, the creator and administrator of this private Facebook group where screenwriters, creators, filmmakers meet to ask and answer questions and exchange ideas and information on the craft of movie making. I am joined by my co-administrator and just all around good guy. Oh, that's funny. Mr.
No, thank you.
Ramesh.
Hey, Chris.
We had a lovely lunch this week.
Yes, we did. We did.
A surprise lunch.
Yes, last minute lunch. It was very nice. Thank you.
It was very, very nice to see you. Still handsome as ever.
Oh, thanks. It is.
All right. Still in LA.
Still in LA, yes. I know. I know. That 3-week vacation got stretched a little bit.
I know. So. You're here over a year now.
So yeah, keep going. I'm going back, but yeah. So.
Yeah. Clearly, you never heard that old proverb about like dead fish.
So yeah.
Well, you know. All right, so we've got the Gauntlet back today.
We got the gauntlets back.
We do. So we're going to get into that, but just for people that are watching, we are streaming live from YouTube today. In the past, we have streamed from Facebook and occasionally YouTube, but Facebook no longer allows third-party apps. We use StreamYard as our third-party app. I mean, there's a way to do it, but I'm just way too technically inept. And honestly, I don't really care to try to figure it out. So we're just doing it here. We have linked this stream onto our Facebook group page. But here's the rub if you're listening. If you want to leave a comment or a question, you have to do it on YouTube. You can't do it on our Facebook group page because I don't think that we're linked.
Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm going to monitor that thread, and any comments that come up, I'll grab them.
Okay.
So
great. So let's say hello to some people that are with us already. First of all, we always have to send a shout out to Steve Enlow, our silent partner. He's the third administrator in the Inside Pitch. We've got Rick Klein, he's here, Jerome Cleary, DJ Wade, Jennifer. She's my old bud. I know her for many years now. P is here, Chris Rogers, Krabby Rabbit. I don't know. Small grove of trees, bearded theology. I guess maybe with YouTube, people are using like their YouTube channel names here. Maybe.
Right. I hope so.
Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah. Wild News Weekly. All right. And you know something? This also isn't private, Ramesh. You know, when we stream from YouTube, only our group members can see it. But when we do it here, anybody can watch.
So someone from my homeland can be watching right now.
They could. That's right. Or who knows what kind of crazy freak. So we have to keep our eyes on these comments just to make sure that nobody's stepping out of line.
Right.
Because we've never had that problem before.
Right.
Because we have nothing but the finest group members.
The creme de la creme.
We do. By the way, if you are not a member of the Inside Pitch, which is a Facebook group, come and join. It's very simple. You just have to answer one simple question, which is, how did you learn about the Inside Pitch? That's it. That is the only thing that stands in your way of joining the group. We have an incredibly low bar to get in. So feel free to join. If you're not on Facebook and you want to join, well, then join Facebook. And there are people who join Facebook solely to be part of the group. So we welcome you. All right, Ramesh, let's stop. I shouldn't suggest that you're doing all the talking. So I'm going to stop talking. And why don't you introduce our guests?
Oh, okay. We have today the two founders of the Gauntlet. They were with us a few months ago when it was being launched. And now they are back to talk about the progress Gauntlet has made and what's happening with it. And, so welcome Scott Foster and Brian Austin.
Hello. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, gentlemen. Welcome back. So we met in March, I believe. And,
right.
And we kind of put the gauntlet through our own little gauntlet. And so it's not really what we're here to do today. Today, we're going to kind of look at the evolution, but we also want to hear feedback from our group members, those of you that have actually throwing your script into the Gauntlet. Or those of you who are considering it, this would be an amazing time for you to, go right to the source here. But before we get into this, can we just very quickly recap what is the Gauntlet?
Sure. So the Gauntlet is a structured approach to finding great screenplays. We want to do something different than competitions, do something different than coverage services, blacklist. Those have already been done a lot. And so we want to come at it from a new approach. We consulted our advisory board that has, we've got like 20 really big name screenwriters to come up with something different and something that was more reflective of the industry, something that was really trying to kind of give people the true experience and try and avoid all the things that tend to make people a little squeamish about any competitions or things like that. So the Gauntlet is a vetted approach. We use 3 levels. We have a total of 17 industry people that your script could get in front of, but it has to climb all those levels to get there. The first level is 7 people, and the people you're getting to, it's not just like staff members, interns that we hire. The first 7 people are actually people that work as readers for big name studios, agencies, production companies. So what the task is on that, because we do pay our readers, we really want to pay people well and respect their craft and what they do. So we try to come up with a way that's somewhat affordable, but also reflective of the industry. So that's why our first level, we ask those 7 people to read the first 20 pages of the script. They can go up to 30 pages if they feel they need a little more room. And then if the majority of people like it, they'll climb to the next level, where it's, again, the same type of people. Again, we have readers for Amazon, Sony, people like that, that will give the script a minimum half read. And if they're liking it, they give it the full read. Now, the whole time when they're doing this, they're giving an assessment at the end. So they're responding with their thoughts. They're ranking things on certain metrics like character, story, dialogue. We can get into more of that later when we show some stuff. But so they're ranking that, they're giving their comments, and they're actually leaving on-page notes as they're going. So the final thing is the script that can climb to level 3, and then that's where we open it up to, you can get your script in front of a couple of like established writers to really come in and give a very thorough read of the script, all full read, and then they're going to be giving you very thorough notes on that. And then we also open it up to managers, agents, producers, also up the top, that are coming in to find the next great project. So that's the goal of it, is to really elevate those scripts, give them an opportunity to climb, and it's all about consensus. So that's the quick pitch.
Excellent.
I was just going to add that I think it was pretty clear, but just to make sure it's clear, they all currently work at these companies. So we don't hire people as much as we'd like to who are retired. There's some really, seasoned readers that are retired or have lost their jobs. We'd like to hire them, but the idea was that everybody is gainfully employed so that they can help move your script at their company.
Which is a big element, obviously. And so when we spoke in March, it was very, very new. And I did ask, how long did you think it would take for a script to get through the Gauntlet? And you were honest, you thought months. And I compared that to a screenwriting contest where, you can enter a contest as an early bird entrant, and, you might not find out where you've placed until 6 or 7 months later. So a lot of writers who play, this game are accustomed to waiting. But so now we are about maybe 5 months out from our last interview. So where are we? You have clearly collected a lot more data now. And so my first question is, has a script made it through the end yet to the 3rd level? And what's sort of the average rate of speed for a script that might get to the end?
That was our biggest struggle, honestly. We had the rush of scripts that first came in, but we were also still trying to figure certain things out, and we needed to have a collective of script. We needed to have, at least 100 scripts fully through, so we would get a sense of, are we doing this right? Go back and look at everything. So before we even released any scripts or any results to people, we were collecting all of this so we could see how it all fared. And so, I mean, I actually sent out even a couple of update emails to everybody that entered, trying to kind of keep them in full transparency, where we were at with things, what we were struggling with. And so the biggest struggle we had going through that was when we actually saw when we were seeing the results. Our first thing that we said on the Gauntlet was, as I even said, on the bottom level, 7 readers. If 4 readers like it, it goes up to the next level. And what we were actually seeing with that gave us pause. And so we even went back and re-examined things, and we were seeing stuff that, okay, that kind of makes sense on the
What was the pause about, Brian?
well, because we were seeing a lot of scripts not passing up to level 2. That was one thing. We wanted more scripts to be getting up to level 2.
Oh, well, sure.
Well, yeah.
Don't we all?
But the biggest thing that gave us pause is when we looked at the results, when we had we write a lot of software to figure this stuff out. And that was what also took us some time. We ended up having to write a lot more software than we thought we'd have to. But we were looking at like these topographical maps, and we would see that, okay, well, what would you say about a script where, probably about 5 of the people think it's fair to good, but maybe they passed on it. It wasn't as exciting, but 2 people really liked it. 2 readers that we respect everybody's opinions. 2 readers were very passionate about it. And so we decided we needed to kind of look to make sure those would progress up to the second level as well. It's easy
Now,
when we say it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Brian, but just as a reminder, the first level, the script is not being read in its entirety, correct?
Correct.
It's like the first 30 pages?
20 to 30 pages, yes.
20 to 30 pages, okay. So those first 20 to 30 pages have to cut muster in order to get to the second level.
Yeah, and the point is that is because that's really how the industry works. If you get your script in front of somebody, you'll probably get 10 pages. We're being kind and way up to 20 to 30. But if you can't impress somebody in those early pages, it's not going to get completely read. So we're trying to really reflect that nature of the industry. We're not saying that's the way it should be, but we're trying to really find if a script is going to be successful, it has to counter those barriers. Because even if you do get an agent that likes it, well, that agent's going to have to then send it out to other people and get them excited about it to get financiers, to get other talent brought on. So you're still going to be fighting that 10 to 20 pages. So that's what we did on there. But that was also why we wanted to be extra generous, because we knew we weren't giving a full read on that. So we wanted to really make sure is that as long as something really didn't kind of struggle too much in that it got a chance to go up to that second level and get further reads.
And you said that there were 7 readers at the first level?
Yes.
Yes.
7 readers on the first level.
But it wasn't by majority rules. So
it
if
can
there
be
were
a passionate minority. So there's also a passionate minority rules.
Okay.
So yeah, we think that's it's made it, really fair. And the climb rate right now is it's about 1 out of 5 scripts goes to level 2.
1 out of 5.
Yeah, 20%. So if you compare that to contests, and I think I had some percentage for some of the big contests, your percentage chance of winning is like a 0.0062% chance or something like that. It's like winning the lottery, really. That's partly what's kind of crazy to me. I think the idea that you think you're going to win a contest is kind of nuts. Any of the meaningful ones where there's a really large pool of scripts. So yeah, we think that is pretty interesting that 20% can at least get to level 2.
And of course, the other thing about the Gauntlet that is different from contests is that your script it's truly competing against itself.
Yep.
So the script will advance based on its own merits and won't get knocked out because maybe there's another script that is more topical, let's say. Your script is being judged as your script, and that is at least, I think, for me, would be a good selling point.
And judged by the people you want judging your stuff. I mean, remember, most competitions, they get so many scripts. The judges they offer up there aren't reading all those scripts. It's going through a couple levels of interns or staff members or something like that, or some hired readers, to weed those out before it actually gets to the judges you see. So we get you directly to those people. In
fact, we actually have one of the readers in this conversation today, don't we, Ramesh?
Yes, we do.
Right. So I'm the odd man out here. That's why, that's why I have to ask the probing and penetrating questions.
So with Ramesh being involved, like if Ramesh is one of the readers, just his notes alone, I would argue, are worth the price. He gives so much insight and advice. He's one of our favorite readers on the Gauntlet.
He's also been challenging us too. If he thinks something needs to be improved or whatever, he hits us up. He's not shy about it.
No, I'm not.
That's why we love him. So can you remind me what is the cost of entering the Gauntlet?
$380.
$380.
Yeah, and the reason it's that price is because we want to do it. Some scripts are going to not pass level 1. And there's a price that's a guaranteed price, what it's going to cost us to get all those 7 readers to read. But then as it climbs up, and we pay especially the ones on the 3rd level, to get an established writer, a big name writer to come in and do that, that's a lot more money. So it's an averaged cost, factoring in what we thought would end up climbing. So everybody bears the brunt of the cost. And one of the criticisms we've had is, well, why can't you just charge some people for a level 1, and then if they make it to level 2, then they pay more? Well, because we felt that might be scammy. Anytime that sure, he made it to level 2, now we need an extra $500.
Right.
We didn't want to be that.
Yeah, so it's a one-time price. The one thing I wanted to add about the 20 to 30 page read, because I do find it kind of amazing that a lot of writers who have never connected with anybody in the industry kind of have this sense of, entitlement, really, that somebody should read all 120 pages of their script. And, people don't have that time. And the thing that we find, and I think Ramesh can attest to this, is in the first 20 to 30 pages, you discover a lot of patterns that generally apply through the rest of the script, especially if the script isn't singing right from the beginning. If it is in the beginning, it often will continue, and they'll continue reading into the middle of your script, into that second act. But we find that with the first 20 pages, where they know in the first 20, not even in the first 30, generally the patterns are set. So often it's exposition, over expository writing. That is one of the biggest problems. It's been fascinating for me as I go in and look at all these notes, the sort of macro view of their micro notes, that the preponderance of issues it tends to be meandering plot or expository writing a lot of the time. And those patterns, if you have a lot of contrived dialogue and or expository dialogue in the beginning, the likelihood that it's going to get so sharp and have all the verisimilitude it needed in the first 20 pages, that's going to kick in the second act, is incredibly slim. In fact, in the case of some of the scripts where the passionate minority has ruled, the majority was often right. You see the problems they were identifying kicking in the second and third acts. So it's been fascinating for me to see how that works, how well it is living up to what we had hoped it would be. So,
as a reminder, Scott formerly ran the story department at UTA.
And I was a reader for over 10 years. I was a reader myself.
Brian?
Yes?
It looked like you wanted to say something, no?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. Somebody asked, does marketability this was a question from DJ. Does marketability play a role in the decision making?
It does, in the sense that what we really, as I said the first time we were here, a big part of this was we don't tell them how to do what they're doing. We're sourcing them in a way, kind of like Uber. We have had conversations about that. What I would say is I see it kind of factor in, but you'd be surprised what is rising up in the ranks. They really are looking for good writing. Biggest thing for me, that again, from that macro view, I talk about the script breathing. A lot of people don't let the moments that need to resonate breathe. And we have a script that looks like it may be one of our first seal of consensus scripts. It's honestly got kind of a 70s sensibility in a way. Like the way that script, what's great about it is how it breathes, how it really lets these dramatic moments resonate. A lot of them dance around in the sort of ephemeral way where the script just doesn't let those moments resonate. So I'd say that's what we're really seeing. Yeah.
All right, interesting. But then does that, and I guess you don't exactly know this yet, but then does that propose a problem? Because it's sort of the same thing with the nickel. The nickel doesn't reward marketability, they reward writing. And then you have these scripts that win the nickel, but the writers don't go anywhere because nobody wants to have to deal with that kind of script.
Again, when I look, I will often look at their comments about marketability, and some of them do. It is a factor. You get a literal score on it, but we have encouraged them again to look for the good writing. I don't see that marketability. Again, we're letting them see it through the lens of where they work. But one of the major things is they're not judging it based on their wheelhouse. Ramesh, if he gets a drama, he reads for Lionsgate. He's not looking at it through that wheelhouse. He is it a good script? Now, Ramesh, maybe you should talk to that. How you?
Oh, you're on mute. That's my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I muted you only because you're very noisy with your papers. I mean, I so appreciate that you're, taking notes, but yeah. It's
Okay.
away in my ear.
Am I unmuted now?
No. Yes.
Okay. So when I get the scripts, there is a section in the template for, I think it might be the very last thing, marketability, but it really doesn't. I'm just looking at it after I've read the script, whether or not I think there is a possible, there's a good market for this or not. But that really doesn't play a role in how I judge the script, because at the end of it, I get to the end of a script and it's like, is there a movie here?
To me, that, because that's what I do,
Right.
I always tell people, maybe this is a little glib, but I always tell people I don't read scripts. I look for movies.
Right.
Because that's my job. My job is to find movies, right?
Right.
Where the nickel competition is they are looking for scripts, right?
Right.
And it's different. And those scripts that win, that some agent or some manager or an executive reads and says, okay, this is a movie,
right,
versus, oh, this is an incredibly well-written script, but I can't sell this.
Right. Now, there have been cases, and to be honest, I have learned much from you, which is why I kind of use your philosophy, Chris. But that's part of it too. But there have been cases where I've given notes where I've said, listen, this might not be the most marketable script, but you could probably use it as a really good writing sample to probably get, to sort of query a rep or query someone to see, because the writing's good and everything, whether or not it's, whether or not you can sell this is a different question. Right. But whether or not you can use it to showcase your writing, to showcase that you know how to tell a story, all of that stuff, it might stand you in good stead there. So I have given that comment too, that even if
But
it
the
doesn't, yeah.
No, go ahead. No,
No, go.
No, I was just going to say, but the Gauntlet is not guaranteeing that anybody's going to get signed, anybody's going to get a movie deal, right?
No.
It's just, hey man, like if your script gets to the top, we are like, we're going to give it access. Like, it is going to have access that it didn't have prior to entering the Gauntlet. I mean, I think that's the guarantee there.
I wish I could talk more about the very first script that we know is going to be sort of the first
your good housekeeping seal
here. Yeah. I wish we could talk more about it because I think it would surprise people.
Listen, I think you should talk more about it. We are clearly amongst friends.
We will be getting it made, is the plan. But
part three, we will meet again to discuss that.
But it's a drama. First of all, it's a drama. So I guess I'd leave it at that. Dramas aren't exactly
right.
Studio fare these days. So.
Right. But it isn't a $40 million drama. It's like a $1 million drama.
It's not 1 million, but it's
something that could be done.
For a couple million. You could do it you could do this for a couple million.
Any questions? Some people are asking about.
Yeah. So here, Susan wants to know: does your website give the rubric for what readers look for?
We have a video.
Right.
Yeah, we have a video that we it's not on our website, it's actually on our YouTube channel, where we brought all of our readers together onto a Zoom call, and we just kind of kicked around, what people are looking for. So there's some video footage out there with that, and it also lists they also talk about their pet peeves, what they don't look for. So yeah, there's some good information there, but no, that's a really good idea to maybe put some tips from that on the website directly.
One of the most common questions, and this is I know just talking to our members, this has come up a lot, is are you almost ready to accept TV pilot submissions regarding pages, selecting readers from different backgrounds to read TV pilots, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we wanted to do something different with TV pilots. We hadn't figured out exactly what we wanted to do at the time, because pitching a TV a series is very different than a feature. So we wanted to try and honor that a little more. And I think what we're probably going to do is open it up to simply having upload the pilot, and then we're going to have a couple of options to list out, where that season goes, kind of the outline of the season, and then where it goes beyond that, to put thoughts in there, because it really is a lot about more pitching, I think, in a way with a series. So we wanted to try and do something with that. But yeah, it's to answer that question though, we're trying to get that out in the next 2 to 3 months.
Wow. So I know that Brian has a presentation, but they're also the Gauntlet is also extending a discount. Do you want to tell us about that? I spelled it right.
Yeah. So for all you people that came in here, we want to just thank you and offer up a $50 off discount code. So if you just come in, set up an account like normal, go to enter a script before any payment takes place, there's an option to enter a discount code, and that'll knock $50 off, and that'll be good until the end of August. So yeah, wanted to throw a little something out there.
All right, great. We'll pop that back up again in a few. So Brian, do you want to? Is this the time perhaps to share your screen and you can make your presentation? Brian's going to pull the curtain back a little bit and kind of give us an inside look, which I think is pretty cool. So let's turn the floor over to him.
What we want to do, because I mean, with the Gauntlet, it's a lot about technology. And so we wanted to make readers' lives easier. We want to have a system that kind of shuffles scripts to the best readers possible. And then there's just a lot of things that we think were kind of cool that we wanted to show off that we think makes us a little different than coverage services or competitions or anything like that.
Brian, we might remind them there's no AI.
That's very true. Yeah, I mean, we're about fighting AI, so we do not have AI, which is one of the first things to mention here. Is that so? We're just going to do a demo here of the script Fight Clubs. We're not actually diving into somebody's script, but so when a reader comes in, they can pick from basically pull from a pile. And what it does is it finds the script that is most suited for them by their genre interest. We also look at gender, race, LGBTQ, any of that kind of stuff that would be a good match for people to put right script in front of them. But as far as the AI part, that's why we really wanted to have a contained reader. We wanted to make it effective and efficient for our readers. We also wanted to help pull all this information together in a more effective way for people. If you're gonna look at 17 people giving notes on your script, you want something that's a little more helpful. But also with this, we've heard complaints of people on other services and whatnot where they might just take the script, the PDF, and upload it to a service like ChatGPT or whatever. There's a couple other services that do breakdowns and recommendations and notes, even all that kind of stuff. So our readers are really kind of pulled into this platform, and they really can't even copy or paste out of it. So that's one protective measure we have in there. And just simple things like on the first page, we scrub the first page so you don't even see the name of the writer. So that way there's no any kind of bias if somebody is like famous or any kind of racial bias, anything like that, gender, that's not even going to come into play. So we put a note here that make sure our readers know that. What I'm doing here is just kind of going to give you a really quick view of how our readers go about it. Our platform allows them we try and make it really fun for them. It's awesome on an iPad. They can do things like set night mode. Some people like to see the stuff beforehand, or they don't, but they can access like the log line, hook, synopsis, all that information. And then this one already has a few notes to it. I've already come in here and just put a few notes. But they can jump through their notes like one after the next to see, all right, what did they do? Just kind of helps them navigate the platform. And the first thing you're seeing are emoji. So that's one of the things we really wanted to add to it, was because there's something that's just kind of fun about an emoji, and we're really getting a lot of good response off of it, but it's just easy. If you see something that's funny that makes you laugh, you don't need to write a big comment about that. You simply just click on the section there, you choose funny, and it drops an emoji. So it keeps our readers into the experience of reading. They can drop something really quick. So that's the first thing we added was emoji. But let me show you how it is to really kind of put a note. So
Brian, I was just going to add that I was sort of skeptical about emojis when we first started talking about them. I'm kind of old school in a lot of ways. But we were really trying to design something in the note system. Having been a reader myself, I was like, this tech has to capture what they're feeling when they're triggered, either positively or negatively. We were at first talking in terms of triggers. So capturing their emotional reaction as quickly as possible, because one of the things as a reader I found with other readers was they get to the end. I had to teach all the trainees at UTA how to read and that kind of thing. They'd get to the end of a script and they just lose grasp of what they were thinking and feeling. So even for the pros, I was like, can make them more effective by what are they feeling, captured in the moment as they go. And emojis are real easy. And if you've written a comedy and you get a laugh out loud emoji, there's nothing more rewarding than that visceral, what else does the reader really need to say? You made me laugh out loud. So I became a big fan of the emojis, actually.
And the writer gets the script back with this stuff on it so they can see it.
Yes, and we're going to get in a lot of notes. The notes are obviously the substance, but I'm just saying as a little, you could look at it as an adornment, but it's also, again, reflective of what they're feeling, so that they'll get the emojis in that right where you see them there.
Yeah, and they're all positive emoji. We started off by having a selection of negative ones, but ultimately we didn't really want to do that because we felt that if there's anything that's really negative, that it should have some more commentary to it. So more of an explanation than just dropping a this sucks kind of an emoji. So anyway, to actually leave a note though, they simply just click in a section and then they can choose new note, and then we guide it through. So they can choose what they're leaving a note on the dialogue, or it's that character, all characters, this scene, sequence, act, up to this point. So they can really choose what the scope is of the note. They can choose whether it's critical, approving, or questioning. So when they go in here, then we ask them to categorize stuff. The reason we're categorizing these things is so it makes it easy when we give that final report to say, this is where people agree. This is what people are coming to you with notes about. It really helps bring all that together. So if I choose like, that was a dialogue selection, and then if we just say like authenticity, then the next thing they get are checkboxes for what are the common problems with authenticity and dialogue. So this just makes, there's so many comments that are just typical. And so what we want to do is we want to come up with something that made it very easy for the reader, but also offered advice for the writer. So when we see something like this, say it's contrived dialogue, this is the piece of text the reader sees because it's more of a professional, just right to the point kind of thing. When they select that, they get to see what text the writer will see. So what we have done is we have taken this and we've actually put some thoughts together, what it is, how to improve it. And so this is what actually gets presented then to the writer. So when they get the note, they actually get some help with it and what it's about. And then they can add in any kind of additional commentary that they want here. So most of our readers are typing in a lot of their additional stuff. These checkboxes are often used to help us categorize to see where the comment has big overlap. But anyway, so create note.
Ramesh, for example, will leave you a big paragraph of helpful insight as well.
Yes.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome, as a lot of our readers do.
And then we make it easy for our readers. If they want to stay in the moment, they can just leave a pin, like drop a pin, and they leave themselves a quick note to come back if they want. And then what happens? So I'm just going to go now through. This is a 20-page read, so it stops at 20 pages. So they can proceed to the final evaluation, but it also says, are you unsure? Do you need to see the next 10 pages? Maybe if they're like a bit of a cliffhanger moment or something, they might want to see the next 10 pages. But we'll go ahead and proceed to the final evaluation. And then the first thing it does is say, hey, you left these pins. Do you want to go review these things? Yes. So it walks us through and takes us through each pin. So I'm just going to say delete this pin so we don't have to deal with it, but I could have turned it into a note if I wanted. So now the evaluation continues. It just has the person review the log line, hook, and synopsis. Mostly this is because it's a 20-page read. We want to make sure that the person reading those 20 pages knows kind of how the rest of the story pans out here. So they're meant to put this information, help them kind of assess further going with that. They can also offer notes on if they have a note that they want to put on the log line to maybe how to improve it, or the synopsis, they can put in that kind of stuff here. But then we just continue to ratings, and we have 7 different ratings that we ask them to rate and leave commentary on. So first is concept. They can choose whether it's excellent, good, fair, or poor. We decided to do this rather than give them a scale to 1 to 10 because, is it a 6 or is it a 7? It's too much confusion. We found it just be very easy to just go fair, good, excellent. And it's really helpful when you bring in multiple opinion using all this. So it kind of helps create more of a gradient there with that. But then they can put in some information. It's going to require some stuff to be typed in. So I'm just going to put this in here for now. But then we go to the next one. Next one is story. So the same deal, but we got this little thing shaken down here for me that I can review my notes. So I can click here and I can see the notes that I left about story. So as I'm leaving these final notes for them, I can kind of go back through and just get a kind of rehash what I was doing to help inform what I might be writing. So again, I'm just going to put a few things in here. Oh, we also say when people are typing, we put a thing. Reminder, please be honest, keep your criticism constructive, those kind of things. So we help even guide the reader with what they're putting comments on. Oh, sorry. Okay, so for the next ones, I'm just going to go through these real quick. So we do characters, dialogue, structure.
Brian, I was just going to add that it also keeps the reader honest. If they have more positive comments on one of these sections and they don't give it a good score, it will remind them, So I feel like that's again, what people don't know about or maybe a lot of people do. I think that what could be elusive for a lot of people is how when readers get to the end of the read, they're assembling their thoughts. This helps them assemble some of it and keep them honest. And I would say in some cases is getting them to be more generous than they might have been, where a lot of readers are so cynical that the sort of default is to not, and I don't want to sugarcoat it. These are tough readers. And that's why we also think you should, if you think you're ready for Hollywood, you should use it, because they're the actual readers. They're the actual readers you're going to have to eventually conquer. But I think the system in dealing with these very skeptical people, it can keep them a little more honest and just help them, get a grasp on what they were really feeling back on page 2. If they're on page 50 of your script, if they're doing a half read.
Yeah. And then, so I'm just going to type in a few more things because it's going to require it. So then we got writing, marketability. So this is the question we do ask about their feelings on marketability, because we do think that is important. It shouldn't be the full assessment of a script for sure, but it, it's hard to ignore that is a component of a decision going forward to make it a movie. So then at the end, it gives me I can review my assessment, see how I did everything, see all my notes. So just one final step before we ask them, and finally, would you recommend this project? So this is the thing that decides whether it would go up to level 2 or not. And if I go in and I say, no, this is what Scott was talking about. It says, hey, are you sure you want to pass on something that you gave mostly good to excellent ratings on? Okay, I'll give it a pass. And then final notes for all the writer to go on the whole project. Complete their review, submit their review, and then what we do is we give them the option so they can continue reading the script. So if they're liking it, they can continue reading, but we wanted their review to be on those first 20 to 30 pages. And then they can actually download and promote the script. So they can click into here, they can download the script, and then once they do that, we flag that so we know that they've actually, at that point, pulled the PDF version. This person has decided to go out there and share this with the company they work for. And then we even allow them to put a temporary hold on the script. I have to download it first. But anyway, so the temporary hold allows them to kind of take it out of the Gauntlet for 5 to 15 days, depending on their preference. And what that will do is, sorry, I'm going to stop sharing now because that was all I really want to show. What that will do is it will kind of take it out. So if somebody wants to take it to HBO, for example, we give them a period of time to really try and promote that. To maybe HBO wants to come in and take that and then pull it out. So we then we'll communicate with the writer and then connect them with the reader, and then figure out, if they want to continue with the Gauntlet or whatever they kind of want to do at that point. But it sort of pauses it, and that's the incentive for the readers to come in. It allows them to, if they find something great, they want to run with it, we give them that chance.
It's exciting. Also a tiny bit frustrating for me because there's a script I'm a fan of that I'm excited about getting to level 3 and seeing how it's going to do there. But somebody grabbed it and they're sharing it with a couple companies right now. So I'm eager to get it back going, but we all have to wait. So it's good news for that writer, because maybe something's going to happen even if it doesn't get to level 3. I mean, it is getting to level 3. If it doesn't get through level 3, I should say.
Right. So DJ Wade has a question, and I think we probably covered this the last time, but we'll ask again. So at level 1, my script is read by 7 different readers. Do I get all of those 7 reports?
That's the next thing we're going to show you. Yeah. We wanted to demonstrate the report. See, everything just flows. It just works perfectly.
It flows so well.
Good timing, yeah.
Good timing.
But we did lose your screen, Brian. We lost.
I have to share a different window. Okay. So hang on one second.
So while you're doing that, I'll ask you a question. Are you monitoring whether or not the readers are recommending the scripts to their employers? And is that something that you will weigh in employment? So like, at the end of a year, if somebody hasn't recommended a script, would you say, yeah, we think we're going to go with somebody else? Or
Scott, you want to handle that one?
Yeah. So the idea with this is, we know money talks. We got, pushback from people like, they're not going to share. First of all, they already are sharing without our necessarily paying them anything more. But the idea will be to do sort of either biannual or annual reviews with the readers. You really like this script. Did you share it? Especially the things that are getting a seal of consensus, they sort of are expected to. We're going to unleash the army on those scripts, both the advisory board, our readers, everybody. But just in terms of those sort of, annual, biannual reviews, that's where we're really going to look at, are you deserving of a bonus for how much you are pushing projects that you like? We know that money is ultimately going to speak loudest, we think, but it's been impressive without doing that, because we're still so in the early stages of just getting everything out. They've been doing it anyway.
Great. So Chris Rogers has a question. I think we've already covered it, but I'm going to ask it again anyway, because that's just how I operate. When the reader downloads, shares the script, do the emojis also accompany it? So if I'm the writer, will I see the emoji?
Well, if the reader downloads it and gives it to, say, HBO or something like that, their notes, they just get the script. That's
correct.
it.
Correct.
Yeah, no notes.
But as the writer who entered the script in the Gauntlet, will I get the emojis? I want my motherfucking emojis.
You get everything.
And that's what I can show you now on the report. If you want to do the.
All right. Yes, absolutely. While I do that, let me just say that Lori,
we're going to show you.
Lori Ashbourne says, and she's works a lot of this stuff. She says, I just have to say that this service makes so much sense. It's far more effective and transparent than the hope machine of contests and other services. Now, hopefully she's not a shill for you, but she's actually been on a panel of ours in the past, and she knows what she's talking about. So
thank you.
Thank you very
I think
much.
that's a good endorsement.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is the report that once a script is finished, an email goes out to the writer, letting them know that their Gauntlet has completed its run. Whether they get on level 1, 2, or 3, the email is different. It's kind of geared to, especially on 1, it's like helping them, like, okay, you've really, congratulations for entering the Gauntlet. The opportunity is now to take these notes and try and improve. And so we guide them through a lot of that stuff with the emails, but then they get a link to click to view their full report. And this is, so Mark Lang this is an actual script that went through the platform. He was kind enough. He really liked the platform and was kind enough to let us use his script as a demo.
Thank you, Mark Lang.
Yes. Very, very, very kind of him. But
and
anyway,
it's an interesting script. I think there's real potential in the script.
Oh, don't sugarcoat it. It got a 53.
No.
I see. It's a pass. It's a pass.
One of my favorite readers said that it is an atomic age Chinatown. Speaking of Ramesh's shirt.
Sounds like a glow job to me, but anyway.
Well, so what we wanted to show you, we didn't want to show you a script that went up to 3. We wanted to show you what, again, 4 out of 5 people are going to get this as a report, because it's 1 out of 5 that end up climbing to level 2. So we want to show everybody that this is kind of, the worst scenario in a way. So if we look over here, first thing we have is we have a QR code, so you can scan that kind of thing and access the report. But you can also send out a summary link. So if you want to share your results in the Gauntlet, you can send out a link that just gives them this top portion. So you can prove what kind of success rate you had in the Gauntlet, but not share your script, the notes, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, and those are all the little readers there. Are those the little readers?
Yep. These are the little readers. This is the structure of the Gauntlet.
That's so cute. I give that a thumbs up. Ramesh, they whitewashed you. How come his skin isn't brown? Come on.
But the outline is the outline.
Oh, okay. I'm a little
so we haven't really talked about this on this meeting yet, but so the Gauntlet is in the structure of an S for script hop. We thought that came off kind of fun. We show the locks that allows you to go up to the next level and the number of readers. So we see here that we have 3 readers and this is the order of reads. So we have 3 readers that end up recommending, 4 did pass. Then we go down and we can see, Then we go down and we can see how the score is laid out. So that turned into a score of 53, which is actually pretty good for a script that ended up on level 1. And it was because the writing was pretty good and people liked a lot of stuff about it. But what calculates into this is the number of recommendations you got, plus all those rankings that you saw me go through just now. All that culminates into these scores. And for people that want to get it really into the detail, full transparency, we show the math. So anybody can really come in and figure out how we come to that score. So the next thing we have is the individual assessments. So you can see we kind of decided to do it by card in a way. So you can see we have analyst 1, analyst 2, and we can't give the actual names of the analysts because we don't want people to get their house firebombed or anything. But we do say what their role is. So analyst 1 was a reader at a major talent agency. Analyst 2 was at a major studio. So you can scroll through and you can see all the different ones, all the way, in this case, through 7. And then if you want to click on an individual one, you can just click on view comments. So we can see here where the actual analyst ranked everything, whether they left comments on each of these. And then I can click to view comments, and then I can see it for just this analyst. So this was the overall comment about it. Any suggestions they had on my log line, hook, or synopsis, which, by the way, we do not, that's not part of the assessment. Our readers just really wanted to help people out with advice on that kind of stuff. So we decided to keep that in there. So here's the comments that they put on, like concept, characters, dialogue, structure, and writing. And then we'll go into this in a little bit, but you can go in and just see just their on-page script notes. So scrolling down, and again, transparency, we allow people to see the names of the people that are actually reading during that time. So these are the potential readers that were on the Gauntlet at the time that the script went through it, that any one of these persons could have been a reader. But most importantly, it has to be one of these people. It's not an intern. It's not anything like that. It is one of these people that was a reader. So next we go through an overview.
Where was Ramesh? Ramesh, were you slacking?
Yeah, I was slacking. I didn't read that script. So
do we need to find Ramesh? There's Ramesh. There he is.
Where am I?
You're right there.
Oh, there am I. Yes.
Oh, there you are. Yeah.
He looks like a badass there.
Very nice. All right.
So the next thing is we take all of those things and put in kind of a topographical map that just kind of gives your eye a way to sort of dive in how the analysts feel about this. And this section actually looks really impressive if you got like three levels of reads. You got, this is 7 right here, but you could be adding, 5 more per each level. But yeah, you can see where the hot spots are, where people, are feeling kind of the weaknesses and things like that. So again, this is on the needs improvement, fair, good, excellent scale. Then after that, we have an overview summary. And so what we do, Scott, I'm going to let you talk about this. Give me a chance to take a sip of water.
So the single biggest thing that I get super excited about is the overlap. We are collating, conflating where the readers are overlapping. For me, it's made me, more angry about how the business has operated in the past. The idea that one opinion is usually what writers are, walking off into a rewrite with. And with this script, I remember this because this was an early one and I wanted to see what the readers were doing and looking at their notes. Where they were really overlapping was the flow of the script was being interrupted a lot by these flashbacks. And so that was one of it. But so the system will find that overlap through those quick notes that Brian showed you, the check boxes that he was showing. That's why those are there. They're useful in helping to conflate where the overlap is. But this overview summary is also where either someone, Ramesh, has done this work for us and done an amazing job. It might be a reader or it might be a script top staffer. Will look at all of their notes and help write up a summary about what you really should focus on.
So just to be clear, this summary is written by a person. It's not been put together by AI.
Yeah,
Yes.
no AI.
I know you said no AI, but
No,
I thought maybe you meant no
absolutely.
AI readers, but this is not involved with that. This
No,
is a
no,
real human person doing this.
absolutely.
Okay.
And I would say this is actually not the longest. We are an evolving company. It's getting the summaries are, I would say, longer and even more helpful. And somebody like Ramesh or myself might spend sometimes an hour. I mean, the idea that it's 380, I know it sounds like a lot to people, but when you factor in the amount of work that has gone, I'm like, just this overview summary is worth a lot. Especially some of the other ones. And on level 2, where you get like 200 notes, that's where I sometimes get a little frustrated about my own 6-figure education at Columbia. I went to Columbia, I got a MFA in screenwriting, and I have told the team that I think you are getting more notes than I got on my scripts at Columbia. It was a 5-year MFA. Don't ask me why, but we didn't get that many notes on our. We learned a lot in a general sense, but in terms of personal attention, we didn't get that much. So I love our software. It also made me a little frustrated about
By the way, just as a reminder for inside pitch members, it is $330 if my math.
Oh yes,
Yeah, so
use
just
that.
one thing, just to interrupt.
Discount.
Since I have gone through and I've helped Scott and Brian do these overview summaries, it really isn't AI. I like especially when you're reading level 2 scripts and trying to write these things. There were some scripts it took me easily way more than an hour, because I had to go through all the notes they got and then sort of summarize all of that. So it was a lot of cutting and pasting those notes into another document and then logging off and then spending time reading all those notes and trying to figure out where the common stuff was, where it wasn't, and then sort of putting together an overview summary that, looked good. So
By the way, Ramesh, I would suggest that you just upload all of those reports into ChatGPT and ask it to provide an overall. It'll take you 5 minutes. That's what I would do.
So it does take, putting these together takes a lot of work. Just making sure that all those notes sort of, and I also go through all the notes and I'll fix the typos and stuff like that too. But it's this can take a while, because there are some scripts that get so many notes that you have to go through and read all of it to try and find find where the common stuff is and where it isn't, because you might have 4 people who say, hey, the dialogue really doesn't work, but then there's one reader who says the dialogue is fantastic. So you have to try and sort of meld all that together to sort of so that the overview summary makes sense.
But the overview it's very helpful, because in theory, Ramesh, if 4 people are saying that the dialogue's not good,
right,
and one person thinks it's good, the odds are that it's probably not that good.
Right, but you don't want to say, hey, dialogue sucks kind of thing. So you say, hey, listen, but there was a reader who found this, So it's a lot of it is it's not a lot of it. It is essentially taking all the notes you get and then massaging it into into like 5 or 6 paragraphs that make sense.
This is a short one, I should add, again, because it was an early one that we had to get permission, and so some of the early people were the first.
Oh yeah, I think for like one of the last few ones I wrote a really long overview summary. so
But the overlap is the power of the Gauntlet, really. For all the people that aren't making it to level 2, and again, 1 out of 5, I want to repeat in case somebody's jumping into this video, 20% of people are making it to level 2. But even if you're just getting notes on the first 20 to 30 pages, that overlap is invaluable. And it is generally going to point out where your expository writing is. We give helpful hints. One hint I would just say, and if I'm doing the overview summary, one thing I recommend, I think a lot of writers don't do it, is really performing your dialogue. not just writing it. I was guilty of this. When I got to film school, I had a journalism background where I had my characters stating all of my thesis. It was awful writing where there was zero subtext in my writing, and I had to learn the hard way. But a big part of that was learning to really perform it. We had to take acting at Columbia. That was a really helpful thing. So I often will recommend that. We'll give that kind of guidance in the notes. That's just one little helpful tip to perform it. Don't just read it internally. And a lot of the time you'll hear where you're info dumping on people and the character is, not being differentiated from other characters. We get a lot of notes about there's no differentiation in the voices. They're just a tool of they're an extension of the author. And I mean, characters are an extension of the author, but they haven't figured out how to channel the character into this character. So anyway.
There's a question from Stephen Hoover asking about the percentage jump from level 2 to level 3. So we know that 20% make it from 1 to 2. What about 2 to 3?
So the overall percentage of people that make it to 3 is 1 out of 15.
1 out of 15.
Yeah. So starting at level 1, 1 out of 15 people end up making it to 3. That's where we're at currently.
I mean, that's, if you look at like the nickel that's got 5,000 entries and they pick 5 winners, your odds are 1 in 1,000 of getting to the top. So the odds here are better so far. But also, you don't have 5,000 entries. So maybe we need to ask, how many entries have you had so far?
Well, we don't give out those numbers, but we have enough to at least have a confidence in it. But I mean, once we get, thousands more in there, then the numbers could end up changing. And it really depends on, maybe who our initial customer set is. I mean, it really could have a lot of variables, but we do want to kind of keep up and report with people. We're all about transparency, where it's at for at least what we're seeing.
Brian, I think you told me there was somebody some producer on Stage 32 said we are the most transparent company.
Yeah, that was a very nice comment. Yeah, that's one of our key things is we really try and be as transparent as possible, where you get to see who the people are that are actually your readers. You get to know the process, and we don't sugarcoat anything. The Gauntlet is, it kind of can be a bit of a cold name even, but we really try and reflect a certain accuracy of the industry with that.
We encourage tough love. That we like to say it's sort of tough love.
Yeah. So scrolling down here, so then the next thing you get to see are the top level comments from the readers, and then it's interactive. You can expand more to see them. So that's the top level comments. Then the next section, it talks about the on-page script notes. And so again, these were the first 20 pages. So it breaks it here into 20 pages. But if it's a full read, these bars will be a lot smaller and reflect an entire script. But what you can do is you can turn things on and off over here. So if you just want to see how things are like comments on, let's just say structure and writing, I can turn everything off over here and just see how it looks on structure and writing. So I can get a sense of where maybe the hot spots are, or just the overall commentary of things. And it's really, really interactive too. I can even click here and I'll go right into that page on the script and see those notes. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to click to view just all on-page script notes. And I scrolled really quickly over here because I just noticed that the some of the contact info for the writer is on the page. So anyway, hopefully that did not get caught in there. Anyway, so what the actual viewer, now this is the next piece of technology we really wanted to bring something to, rather than getting like 17 different PDFs of people that you got to try and go through each individual notes and everything like that. We wanted to try and bring everything into one place. And there's 3 different components to this. On the left side are all the notes just laid out in order as you go down the script. On the right side is the script itself. And on the far right side is sort of like a heat map. So you can see where most of the notes took place. And they're very interactive with each other. So if I go down here and I want to see what this note is, I can click here and it'll scroll me right over here to see the note. And again, you're seeing those quick notes come into place. It's pulling out all that information that they clicked on there that can be helpful, but you're also seeing the original note from the actual from the reader. And then it works the opposite direction. So if I find something here that's interesting, I can click here and it'll scroll me over here. So, and then I can even click here if I want to see what this is about, and it jumps me all through there. Then what you can do on the notes, I mean, we have a couple options very easily. If you just want to go to, a certain page, you can do that. That's easy. But also if you want to turn things on and off, so you can if I just want to see the notes about story, I can turn everything off here and just see the notes about story. If there's an analyst that I want to focus in on or that I want to remove, I can just, if I don't like analyst 2's opinions, I can take out analyst 2 and just see everybody else's notes. And then yes, the emoji, they're all here in their glory. So that is the on-page script notes view. The way the report works is it is constantly going back and forth between the report and diving into the on-page script notes. So as I scroll down here, this isn't probably the best example yet. So concept, there were no actual on-page script notes, but we get to see again the percentage of people that selected good and fair from the readers here for concept, see the score, and any of the notes that were about concept will appear here. That does it for every single thing that we had note, basically concept, story, characters, dialogue, all those sections are scrollable here. You'll see if these are all the notes just about story. Again, I can click here and go right into that page on the script and see those notes. This is where it gets interesting though, because there was this is where we pull out where there's overlap. So right here, there are 4 mentions by 2 analysts. So if I click here, it will take me right back into the script and I can see just these mentions for this note. And then if I want to know more about this, I can expand it here and get that information about what basically it means for the story meanders losing sight of its purpose. Then I can get more about that. So it does that for every single one of these sections. I'll just scroll down here briefly with this. And again, at the bottom of each of these, I can just see my on-page script notes for dialogue. So the entire time I'm going through this, I can just be jumping in and out of that script if I want. We don't like how a graph looks if it's only got a couple little bars. So if there's only a few notes, we'll just kind of display it like this so you can see what pages they are and jump into those. We got writing, marketability. In case people don't realize that there's on-page script notes, we have this in here that 7 readers gave you 90 notes and to prompt them to go into there. And then at the end, again, we do not judge people on this, but we want to be helpful. So if there's some suggestions on any of the kind of pitch stuff, where it'd be the log line or synopsis, we can see what the original stuff was and get those notes here that might be helpful to how to improve that. And then we just have a nice little thing at the end here that kind of encourages people as they go. So that is the report.
Wow.
Chris, you can imagine the ramifications of that for studios and agencies managing teams and all of their notes on one particular script. That's sort of where we want to head very shortly.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. I'm speechless. I really love the way all of that information comes together. How easy it is to access it. Even an idiot like me could do it in a minute, it seems. How long did it take you guys to kind of just come up with this entire platform from pitch
So
to
much
launch?
So much work, a lot of work.
Yeah.
Was it a year? I mean, how long did it take?
I think it's about 1.5 years. About 1.5 years from, because we actually got the concept together. We wanted to run it by a lot of people, but we wanted to be careful and quiet about it too. So we brought our advisory board in, and they're always very helpful to give advice. But then we also wanted to go and connect up with managers, agents, anybody else that could offer some insight on it before we designed it and built it. And then we got to the point, it's one of the things that actually took a little longer, because that's our biggest regret, is that for the initial people, they had to wait to get through the original rush. Some people were waiting about 4 months to get their results. But a lot of it too, we really couldn't fully develop that report until we saw how all the information came about. So there was a lot of delay in coding, even getting that in there.
So what is the turnaround now?
Anyone entering now is going to have the best experience ever. So.
Yeah.
But what's the turnaround time?
Our turnaround time now. I mean, if all of a sudden if the millions of viewers you have on here, come in and everybody submits their script, that will push things out. I mean, we only have so many readers,
Sure.
but what we're looking at right now for somebody to get through level 1, it's about 2 weeks.
Okay.
To get through level 2, we're maybe another 1 to 2 weeks on top of that. 3 is where we're kind of at a holding stage right now. We really focused on those level 1 scripts, and then we focused on the level 2 scripts. 3, we're kind of holding up there because we're perfecting a few things with that. But we're in communication with a lot of those writers. Some of them we're kind of working with even ahead of time. It's like, hey, you really have something impressive here. We want to get this through the system and get some, but here's some notes to maybe work on already. But the whole point of what we want to do was when somebody actually does graduate past that 3rd level, like they get all the recommends, then the biggest thing we want to do with that is we're going to get that report back to that writer, give them time to address all those notes. And especially for some of them we really like, we're going to work with them directly as well to see if we can help perfect the script if they're open to us helping with that. And we can also bring in some big writers that could be helpful too. But once we get that script then honed and rewritten after that, then it's going to go through everybody. Everybody that's on our platform as a reader is going to get a notification that we have a script that passed the gauntlet and it's ready for the seal of consensus. And what that does is it gives everybody, we haven't figured out the exact timing yet, but we'll give everybody a period of time to read the script and then to come in and choose if they want to endorse that or not. And if they want to put their name on it, basically their signature on it, they can type out a small blurb or something of what they felt about the script. We collect all of that stuff. So now you're not just talking about 17 people, you're talking about currently 45. Potentially up to 45 people could be championing your script.
From major companies, it will list the company. That's where we hope to create bidding wars again. I know that's pie in the sky thinking, but we believe we can make that happen again. We want to bring that back.
Is there a goal in the end for there to be a Gauntlet production company where maybe a script that makes it through that then you guys produce it?
Anything is on the table. But what we really are focused on right now is helping these things get made. So again, just by all the people we have from our advisory board, from from our readers, that's a lot of connective tissue into the industry right there. And if you get, say, a reader that might like it but just needs more confidence and backing, that seal of consensus, as soon as it comes through, it's like, wow, we got 25 people are really, really behind this thing. That gives them that confidence to go to the company that they work for, especially if they weren't if they're on the fence before, that gives them the confidence then afterward. And then we can also, we're very eager. We've got some ideas we're not going to talk about at the moment, but on ways that we can also kind of push something out, some creative thoughts on getting it out into the industry as well. So we look forward to having some press about that when we do that.
Cool. Mr. Ramesh, do we have questions?
There are some questions here, and these two. One is like, do you guys have a genre breakdown of those that made it to level 3? And are you noticing that specific genres do better than others, or is it fairly universal?
So it's a really interesting slate that I see sort of coming together right now. It's got kind of everything. What's surprising, may have one horror. I thought we were going to be a lot of my readers, when I interviewed them, I thought they were all sort of horror buffs. They are horror buffs. I was expecting them to love horror. I saw, some of the horror scripts climbing from level 1. On level 3, got a couple of sci-fis, which usually I feel like that's where awful writing happens. The really wooden dialogue where people think, oh, they have to sound otherworldly, and so they don't sound human. But we have 2 of those at least, and we've got some dramas, Oscar bait, I think, and we got pretty much everything, I would say now. I'm just surprised there wasn't more horror given what they said. I thought, I'm not a horror person, so I was like, oh, we're gonna have a lot of horror, and I've been pleasantly surprised. And again, that 70s flavored script is also a pleasant surprise. I like a lot of 70s movies myself. So
I think too, one of the important things to mention though, Scott, you like a lot of people feel that only a tentpole type thing has the potential to climb.
oh yeah, no, that's not what I'm seeing on it really, that's what I would say. So when you're asking about the marketability a lot, to say it doesn't factor in it at all. I mean, they're human readers at studios that bring that whatever baggage they've got. But what I'm seeing is the scripts that are getting to level 3 are about the writing. And it's, I have my own weird internal seismograph from my Mac. I don't know if I'm articulating this very well. I wish I could articulate better what I am seeing there, that I think a lot of writers are writing things that are too choppy. And what I'm seeing is the readers really respond again to these things that breathe, where they, and that means where the dramatic moments. So in some of these dramas that, again, I feel, aren't making it through a lot of the studio systems, you are seeing people respond to those dramas where they really are feeling something from the characters. So anyway, but to get back to the slate I'm seeing now, and we're still early in on the 3rd level, but it's really well rounded. Yeah, I'd like to see maybe a few more comedies, and I really feel like the market is starved for comedy. They don't make them as much as they should. We do have one that is like a period comedy that's in level 3 that I haven't read, but somebody knows I love Charlie Kaufman. And they're like, "Oh, you got to read this. It's very Charlie Kaufman." So,
someone else wants to know, and they say if someone submits a second draft, I'm guessing sort of you get the script and then you get notes and sort of resubmit it again. Do you get a new set of readers if they sort of resubmit it?
That is a component we still have to do some coding to make work. We're catching up on a few of these things, but when people will be able to resubmit a script, we want them to do it through the original entry. There's already a button on there that says resubmit that tells them it's coming soon. But once they resubmit, it allows them to, first, we're going to give people a discount of some sort on there. But then it'll allow them to make a decision on if they want to have a brand new set of readers or if they want to keep the original readers. So we're leaving it up to them.
Okay.
There can be some advantages. Obviously, if somebody already liked your script, the likelihood they're going to like it again is good. And
right.
I wonder if we're gaming it for the writers in the sense that the people that didn't like it, they see this writer's trying, and so they may be pulling for them. I mean, that's the thing. We really are pulling for the writers. I mean, there are times where we feel a little adversarial about, how our readers are responding. Where I'll give you an example. There's one script that I had my eye on from the log line, and it got a passionate minority. So it got like 2 out of 7, but it got to level 2 from that. It didn't make it through level 2, but the notes, my own sense of it, there were a lot of factors. I was like, we got to continue to keep our eye on this. I've talked to that writer now. We're potentially working on their project to get it to level 3. So we really do pull for the writer. I'm a writer myself. Ramesh is extraordinarily sympathetic to writers and has, in some of the early stages where we had every intention of being sympathetic to the writer, he would kick us in the ass about, no, but you need to do this. And, I don't want to sugarcoat everything again. Because the readers can be tough. They are tough. They've read thousands of screenplays. And so, they're looking for things that stand out. But again, about 20% of them apparently are, because they're climbing. So, that's it. But we really are pulling for the writers. Sometimes there are these interesting scenarios where we're feeling just slightly adversarial with them about a certain script, but almost always I am agreeing with the readers. Like 98% of the time, I'm like, I see why the majority is saying.
Do
No. Oh, go ahead,
you want to
Chris.
go? I was just going to ask: Do the expectations get higher as the script climbs higher?
That's where we're gaming it maybe a little bit for the writer too. I think that, there's definitely that they know that it got to them because other people are saying they're good. At certain points, Brian and I were like, "Uh-oh, what have we done here?" But I do think they're fair. They don't like everything. I will say another thing I've been really genuinely impressed by, and I did not have a lot of knowledge about this, as much as working in the agency world gave me a view of most things. How writers would be as readers, and we pay them really well. That's partly why this costs what it costs. Because did we tell them how much we're paying, Brian, or do we want to say?
Well, we don't go into that, but we are paying above industry.
I'll just say we're paying them a lot, and they take it seriously. And so, to a woman and a man, in terms of those writers, what I've seen so far in terms of their notes, unfortunately, we're just showing this level 1 script. The ones that are getting up there, they're going to have something like, I've said it might be as many, and we have to see, but it could be as many as like 500 notes. Now, that also can be overwhelming, but the filters help you make sense of all of that. So it is the most data-rich experience that you'll have in terms of your writing. And by data, we don't mean AI. We mean human data about your script.
Is it possible for writers to use this service anonymously? Someone wants to know. I mean, I know the reads, when we open scripts, we have no idea who the writers are. And I'm guessing they're wondering if they can submit it under a different name, so that, because you guys know who the writers are. I'm guessing that's the question, whether they can use a pseudonym to submit it.
What would the point be to, especially if the readers don't see the name?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody who matters is going to see your name.
Right.
I mean, technically you could. We don't even see the credit card. I mean, that's basically we have a third-party processor do that. So somebody can come in with an email address that we have no idea, put up a fake name, change the cover page of their script. The only thing to be somewhat cautious of is if they do want people to then, because you can choose the option when you start an entry whether you want our readers to take their scripts to the company they work with or not. So you can lock that down. But if you do want them to take a script out there, then just know that script's going to go out with some bogus name.
Someone said, I recently received my results of level 2. The on-page script notes were the most useful. Do you find that level 2 readers generally have high expectations and mark lower in the elements section?
It's the same group of people. Level 1 and level 2 are the same people for the most part. We allow some people from level 3 to drop down if they want to do a level 2 read. But for the most part, it is the same 1 and 2. I don't know, Scott, do you have anything else to add?
The obvious thing about level 2 is they're getting into your second act. And the question is, does your script have legs at that point? That's where, again, it's been fascinating for me to see that the patterns that occur in level 1, if there were issues, tend to be reoccurring. But, there's a lot of structural things that have to happen in level 2. So, it's, I'm not sure what the actual percentage is from level 2 to level 3. I've been so focused on that, the 20% to level 2. So I think that's maybe what they're also asking is like, what's the climb rate? I don't know if Brian can speak to that. Or you did already.
They want to know what's the turnaround time writers who make it to level 3 will have from receiving notes to resubmitting the script for level 3. How much time are you giving them?
Right now, we're still working on 3.
Okay.
But I think within 2 months' time, we can hope that a script goes through the entire gauntlet within like 1.5 to 2 months. I think is somewhat reasonable. Again, everybody has day jobs. They don't just strictly work for the Gauntlet, so we kind of have to work on people's flexibilities. Also, it is a matching system, so when people come in, it gives them the script that is most suited to them. So if you submit a musical or something that maybe isn't as popular, it might not go as fast. But eventually our system does take in, like, all right, this has been in a while, so it doesn't matter. We're going to be a little less picky on who it goes to eventually after it's been in for a bit.
Rick asked earlier, are analysts able to edit their feedback? He said the first word of my screenplay was questioned and the answer was in the second action line. And he also wants to know, he was told that the script read too much like a specific film or series, both of which were his comps. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Is it a good thing or a bad thing to have comps?
No, is it a good? He said he was told, his notes said that his script read too much like his comps, and so he wants to know whether that was a good thing or a bad thing.
It read too much like his comps.
That's meaning that either it would be too similar,
right,
or it read
done.
Right.
Or on the flip side, it could be, it read just like the Silence of the Lambs, which, is great.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that, again, we don't control everybody's taste. That's not our mission at all. Some people may be looking for a more original script. It really depends. So that's a difficult. Originality
more. I think what he's asking is that, and I could be wrong, is that note to him was ambiguous.
Okay.
Right.
He didn't understand. Is it a good thing that it's like a great script, or is it a bad thing?
Right. So
I think, again, we do a review before we actually progress a script through the next level or out at that level. We have one of our, like Ramesh was helping us with this, and we have our staff that goes through and looks at all the notes and does try and find if there's something that is somewhat like ambiguous or something needs to be rephrased or something like that. And we'll go back to the reader and try and get some clarity. Some things do slip through the cracks though. And so, we're doing our best is to keep up on it all, but yeah, it is individual people. They're not tasked as readers by us to follow a strict mandate. We kind of want them to do what they do.
Sure. And to be honest, neither Scott nor Brian has ever told me in all the scripts I've read, your review should be like this. This is what you should be saying. Nothing. It's just no. They trust the readers a lot, and all the meetings we've had, even with the advisory board and everything else, is always an aim to help the writer, how we can sort of push this forward. Someone wants one of our members has made it to level 3, and he wants to know, what can I expect if I make it through or don't?
Whether you make it through or don't, you're still going to get the report. The report will be the same that we just showed, but it'll have a lot more stuff to it. If you actually do pass the Gauntlet, though, if you get the majority of the recommends on the level 3, then what's going to happen is you're going to get contacted by us, and we're going to walk you through the next stage of that. And what that's going to be is it's going to give you that opportunity to go through and address those notes. You can work with one of us too to kind of maybe help refine or help identify what some of those notes are and maybe get some more context out of things. But we'll work with you as you do the rewrite process. Then once the script is complete for the next run, we're going to run that it's not going to go through the Gauntlet. It's going to basically be something we present to all of our currently 45 readers. They're going to get a notification. Hey, we got a great script. We'd like everybody to take a look at it. It's going to be time sensitive. They get to read the script. They're not going to really do notes on it, but they basically choose whether they want to champion the script. And that means basically attaching their signature to, like, hey, I'm behind this. And then also put a blurb if they want to kind of give it a little more oomph. That's the state. That's what happens after that. And then that will help you. That'll be a document There'll be a few things that'll kind of go with that, that'll allow you to really kind of go out and get people's attention with that. But we also want to help too, if you want us to. We're going to open up our channels to see what we can do to help push that.
So, I think this is Susan's question. Do you have a survey or feedback system to gauge writers' reactions to the feedback they get? And are you planning on putting testimonials on the website?
We're really excited about that. When we first did this, we were like, if people aren't making it past level 1, we know how writers can be. I'm a genius, you don't get me, that kind of stuff. We have been really impressed with the testimonials that we're getting. So yeah.
At the bottom, you don't see it on the report that I showed you because that writer had already completed it. But there's a survey section. We ask for we don't ask a lot out of it, but just to rate us on a 1 to 10 on what they thought of the report itself, what they thought of the experience, and what they thought of the value. And then we give a section they can put in notes as well. And
what's been the average score?
The average score is actually more around like the 7 to 8 type area. We've had a few people come in. We've had some come in, give us all 10s. We love seeing that. We've had some people that have kind of rated us, understandably, because it took a lot longer than they had thought. So they kind of rated the experience a little bit lower. So we understand that. And then yeah, some people have had taken some issue with some of the notes. Or they just don't feel that they've had a hard time maybe accepting some of the notes or something like that. So we've seen some of that.
Very common.
Most of the responses though have been pretty positive. And then as far as testimonials, we just did an update on the site yesterday that should show on our Gauntlet page. We at least took some of the testimonials we've gotten so far. We're going to be getting more. We're reaching out to people. But I think there's a small selection you can scroll through on the website there.
So, and what is the website? Because there are some people who want to know what the website is so that they can go there too.
It's just scripthop.com, script HOP, like something hopping. And it's one of our products. We have 3 products right now. We're going to eventually be kind of merging a lot of this stuff to make it a little more cohesive, but we offer the Gauntlet. That's our big product right now. We also offer the Packet, which for people that are out there trying to pitch their script, it helps them with like essentially think of it as like an interactive Bible or pitch deck. So if you're struggling with putting together something, it gives you a lot more power than sending out a PDF. It guides you through setting stuff up, allows you to track things as you send it out to people, allows people to dive in and out of your script. There's a lot of cool functionality of it. And then we also talk about our library tool, which we're kind of quiet on at the moment, but it's a closed beta that is a management platform for studios, agencies, production companies, anybody that manages a large library of scripts and any of the workflow that goes around that. So we're pushing into that area. And that gives us, it just really kind of, you see how these things work together. The Packet and the Gauntlet help the writer kind of get out there. The other side, we're going to be able to kind of bring in when somebody's in the library searching for, hey, I need a script on golf. It'll say you have none in your library, but hey, the Gauntlet actually scored a few really good ones here. Would you like to take a look? That kind of thing.
We also have a free book. It's all about pitching, actually, and we're proud of it because, at least from our research, all the books on pitching make the presumption they're sort of about getting in the room. Actually vocally pitching your script. How many writers actually get to do that? How many writers actually get in the room? Like none. So none of the wannabe writers. So this is it's all about what you attach to your email. That's your pitch. And this is, like the Packet. So it tells you how to create the Packet, but it's also agnostic. You can use Canva or whatever. It's more about the pitch materials themselves. And we created that book. It was written with research from all of our advisory, the writers on our advisory board, and even some documentation that we got from agencies and management companies. It was researched from that. And there's a lot of proprietary, what is an industry standard pitch? So it's the standards and practices I'm trying to remember our full title, Brian.
It's a free book. You can download it on our website. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Someone wants to know whether. Oh,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Somebody wanted to know earlier about books, and
That's exactly the question I was going to ask. Actually,
look at that. Are you ever going to tackle books? I mean, that just sounds like it's
I want to.
damn arduous. It's arduous, though. I mean, you got all of a sudden now you got to pay readers a lot more money, and then you got to charge the writers more money, probably.
No, but it's been in our conversations. Absolutely, I'm a huge book lover, so yeah, I would love to.
The other thing actually that I'm just talking to members and everyone, they are really keen on seeing this expanding to TV pilots.
We'll get to it as quickly as possible. Yeah, we've got a few other things that just coding wise we need to address first. We're trying to get to things as in the best order we can as quickly as we can, but hopefully within the next 2 to 3 months is our target for the pilots. We really do want to get them out there.
So actually, someone who was I think she was a former publisher. She said, "Please consider the books thing. I'm here to help you." Yeah, and I think that the TV pilots thing is the.
She can email me because I love books that much. I'd love to hear her thoughts. sfoster@scripthop.
And I think a lot of the times here, even with the scripts I've read, and every time I have talked to them, and there was actually a writer who got in touch with me and had some issues with some of the notes they got, and it was a long phone conversation. But
wait a minute. You had a phone conversation.
Yes.
With somebody to discuss their notes and sort of
they contacted me because they knew they messaged me.
Yeah.
Because they're a member of the Inside Pitch.
Okay, but still though, you extended all of this extra time.
Yeah, it was a 4-hour
$380.
It was a 4-hour phone conversation. And then I reached out to Scott, and we have been able, and he and Brian have been able to help that writer. And they are very grateful for it. So
just remember, by the way, I discovered Ramesh first. That's why he co-admins the Inside Pitch, because I could see his beneficence from
yes, exactly,
all the way from here to Pittsburgh.
So
I called to Brian sort of internally. I've called Ramesh Script Jesus. He's the most generous giving.
Oh, thank you.
So hearing about the 4-hour conversation, I am not surprised because he gives beyond. I'm like, you got to make some money too, Ramesh.
Yeah, we're probably going to get a giant invoice from him for all this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You owe me money for my house. No,
I'm still waiting for my invoice. I'm going to have to do chapter 13.
It's so everything and all the meetings we've had where the writers get together and the advisory board and Brian and Scott, when we've had these Zoom calls, all the discussions have been about, I mean, that's how this whole thing about this whole 4-3 thing, that 4 people must love it for it to move forward, that sort of got not pushed completely to the side, but we decided to expand it because we realized that the people who were rejecting the script still had really, really good things to say about those scripts. And that if the goal is to help the writers, then that's what the aim of the Gauntlet is. Then we should look at those scripts and push those scripts up too, that the 4-3 thing shouldn't be written in stone.
That the 2 could be the passionate minority.
Right, exactly. And that's how there have been scripts that may not get the 4-3, but still moved forward and, keep going because the people who even rejected it said, hey, this is still a very good script. And, it may not be their personal taste or whatever reason you use to pass a script. That's how this moved forward. So the whole goal always has to be, all the discussions always have been about, hey, how can we help the writer if, move this forward. And I remember we had a whole discussion about, writing samples, whether or not it can serve as a good writing sample, even if it's not sort of, if the writer's goal is to get repped, then if we give notes saying, it may not be the most marketable script, but hey, you got a solid writing sample here that you can use to query managers or agents, and you can use to getting repped. And so that might help you that way. So I think that's how this whole discussion has been.
All right.
So
there was a question. Susan Bays wanted to know, do all those readers get paid to read the level 3 rewrite? Everybody wants to know the dirty laundry here.
yeah.
Well, I want to clarify the level 3 rewrite. So if a script goes through the gauntlet, it's that script as it was submitted to us, goes all the way from level 1 to 2 to 3. Once it passes level 3, then we give them the chance to do the rewrite, and then we open it up to everybody. Now that we don't pay for. So that seal of consensus, that's just for everybody to come in, kind of a good faith. A lot of people have already kind of read that, so they can come in and get another sense of it, maybe just jump in championing it already. Other ones, everybody that is participating in the gauntlet wants to find these good scripts.
Right. And
they don't want to give every script that chance, but when a script has accomplished something like going through the gauntlet, everybody wants to read it. Everybody's just out of curiosity wants to read it.
Yeah. And just on a personal thing, it's like once I read a script and submit the notes, then I can see, that's when I get to see where the others, how that script has gone through. And then there have been times I've logged in just to sort of go back to like the initial scripts I loved. And it is gratifying to see that a script you loved early on has actually moved forward. And that there are others who sort of agree with what you said, and that the script is sort of moving up the ladder.
And just to be clear, Ramesh is only able to do that again. We don't want him to be influenced by anyone while he's doing his read.
Right.
When he's completed it.
Right, exactly. When I open up a script, when they assign me a script and I open it up, I have no clue where it is on the if I'm the first read or if I'm the 7th read. I have no idea. I have no idea what the other notes are, and I never get to see, when I'm reading, I don't get to see that even after I submit. And I also don't get to, I don't know who the writer is, nothing. All I get is the log line, the hook, if they want, and the synopsis. And usually 9 times out of 10, I wait till the very end after I've read the script to look at all of that stuff. And I would say at least 95% of the scripts I read on level 1, I read up to page 30.
Yeah, you do.
So
I've seen that, yeah.
Annie wants to know, hey, Annie, is there really a strong opportunity to be championed as a writer if the script isn't what the readers want, but do see a strong storytelling skill set?
So,
I say no to that.
Most people get that feedback at the very least. Now, whether it's going to go to the 3rd level if they're not feeling great about the project, we've talked about, I'm trying to think at UTA, we would have, you might consider the right. Well, I should say that, yes, in the sense that any reader who reads your stuff, in fact, somebody who's a producer said to me, we're looking for writers for a TV project we're working on. So I might read a project and not like the project, but I might love that writer for something we're doing. So I want to be able to do that. I was like, you can absolutely do that. So yes, in that respect, you can be championed by readers. In terms of your project climbing, unless they know that their criteria is supposed to be focused on the project. So the idea, the fact, the possibility that it's going to climb is much less. Obviously, they're looking at the project itself. But again, certain people might be looking for writers to staff on a show or on a movie that they're working on, a concept that they have.
Or it's very possible that there's somebody who's reading it who really likes the script, even if he's the only person who likes it, and then he takes it out somewhere.
Right.
So there really is. So there is an opportunity there if all those things sort of fall into place.
When we designed this, I annoy Brian with all my mentions of Charlie Kaufman, but I use it. I love the story about how they read the coverage of Being John Malkovich at the Spirit Awards, because that reader so didn't get it at all, and it was kind of hilarious how much they didn't get it. So we've designed this with, I'm always cautioning us. I want this to be able to be something that can catch the Charlie Kaufman scripts, that really unique, offbeat as hell voice. And, that's why one of the producers was telling me, hey, I know you love Charlie Kaufman. You got to read this project. Anyway, I get swept up with my passion. I forget what you're sort of asking. But,
do you need a moment, Scott?
Yes, I need a moment.
But the other thing also is that the readers, it's a diverse list of readers they have. And also, because I remember when I first punched in all my information, you gave sort of a genre preference. And the assignments pretty much, the scripts you get pretty much adhere to that, so that you get some, if there's a reader who may not like fantasy, I'm not a big fantasy fan, you won't get that. It goes to readers who want to read that stuff. And, I get the action and the horror and the thrillers and stuff like that I love to read. And so they sort of, they give that to those come my way. So it's been, I really haven't read a script, even the ones I passed on, I really haven't read a script like saying, oh, why was this assigned to me? So
somebody's biting back and is saying, but readers aren't producers and have no incentive to champion a script with good writing. Why would a reader bother to get involved outside of his job? I'm confused by that aspect of it.
Well, I just gave you an example. The producer who's reading for us, and that person, I think they read on all levels. Some of our producers only read on level 3. Some can drop down. Anyway, that person in particular was what spurred that conversation, was that they are looking, in that particular example, was a show that they're developing, and she wanted to be able to acquire writers that she likes, if she likes them enough, to come write on that show. So I can only tell you what they're thinking there.
I think the question, though, was just somebody who is, say, a reader at Amazon or something.
Oh,
what would be their incentive? And speak to that, Scott.
And what would be their incentive to champion something where they didn't like the project itself and they just like the writer?
No. Why would a reader bother to get involved outside of his job? Why would a reader, for you, who, let's say, works at Amazon and likes the script? And listen, we also know that just because you're a reader at Amazon doesn't mean that you've ever even met your boss, because now a lot of people are reading remotely and they just get scripts kind of in the mail. And it's incredibly impersonal and stuff like that. So if I'm that Amazon reader and I really, really like the script that I read for you, what is the incentive? Why would I want to do that?
The incentive is, first of all, when we did do the hiring process, that was part of the interview, was, are you able to do this? Then that taps into the whole thing that we are talking about, which we're going to get into. We're through the first half of this year. It's either going to be biannual or annual, these meetings with the readers about, you're liking stuff. You said you could share. Why didn't you share? If they didn't, and if you did, awesome. And we'd like to reward you for it. As we've said, and it says on the website, we know that money speaks loudly. That's why. Money.
Yeah, I mean, we did cover this a little bit earlier. Maybe not in this exact way, but yeah.
That's the whole thing.
And also, I mean, just speaking for myself, if I see good writing, if I see a script that I really like, that I absolutely love, And I just want like, hey, let me see if I can help this writer out. It's just, I don't know, helping someone out. It doesn't have to be like, why on earth would I do this? There have been a couple of scripts that I've really liked. Now they're going through the system, so I'm watching to see how they go through the system. But and actually the one of the ones that Scott, you and I talked about this, the one that got pulled was a script you and I both loved, and I saw that, I'm like, yeah, this is really, but it's on hold right now. So it's just sort of one of those things that you just sort of
and on hold, so they understand that means someone
Right.
pulled it to share with people that they think can help get it made. That's what that means.
Right.
And I think part of the incentive too, though, is and it's not for everybody, because as you say, some people have a real disconnect possibly from their bosses. But I mean, it's a way for a reader to look like they're bringing something to the organization that pays them.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Right.
if they actually show that they have discovered a great script and brought it to that company, that could bolster their career there.
At UTA, we didn't just do coverage. They would ask at the end of the month, what would you recommend? And you knew you were putting yourself out there, but it was a chance to shine. So if I knew there was something great and I could put that on the list, it was a chance for a powerful agent there to go, oh, Scott knows his stuff.
Let me
Dana
just say,
wants
by the way, if your readers, have a quarter of the spirit that Ramesh has,
Yeah.
then clearly, because it's like you don't want readers who like people who are dicks like me. You want people like Ramesh who they're really out to do the right thing, and I think that is definitely a secret ingredient here. So
Dana wants to know, who is this best for? Writers looking for notes to improve, or is it ultimately to get championed?
that's a good question, Dana.
What I've been telling people is that it depends on what you're looking for. If you have a script that you think is like, you've maybe vetted it through your personal circles, maybe you've gotten paid somebody to do coverage on it or something, you're feeling strong about it, that's what the Gauntlet is best for. Because if you do not climb to level 2, you are getting those notes only on the first 20 to 30 pages. That's the biggest downside that we have right now with this, and we admit it, that is what it is. But those are the most important pages, and you're getting 7 qualified people giving you opinion on that. So you kind of got to do the math on where it works for you. At $380 to get that level of feedback, or probably a good coverage person might be, I don't know, $150 or something, that would do a full read of your script and give something. That might be something to consider before entering the Gauntlet.
Yeah.
But I would just say again, for people who are just chiming into this part of the video, that the patterns again that are discovered in the first 20 to 30 pages, it could be really informative for you about where your script is headed after the first 20 to 30 pages.
Chris, our friend Eve Hayes says, I just want to say,
of Screenwriter Safari.
Safari, yes.
Do you want to write screenplays in South Africa? Hey man, I was a mentor. She might have a spot or 2 left. So check out her Facebook page. It's a pretty crazy, awesome, memorable experience. You can enter the Gauntlet while you are on Safari. It doesn't get any better than that. Sorry, go ahead.
But she said, I just want to say a huge thanks. My feedback is beyond extensive. I feel very grateful for it, and the fact that so much has gone into the feedback. This makes me feel obliged to really dig deep and rewrite.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great.
We're glad it helped.
She also wanted to say that I have a very weak currency. So this is very expensive for me, but it's totally worth it. But keep in mind, $50 off right now.
$50 off,
Inside Pitch 50. I want to be like Billy Mays, like I want to be one of those, it's like, order now.
Right. And she said she's flattered that some analysts read her whole script. So.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
That is great. Wow. All right.
And you guys know which, if a script goes from page 20, if the read is made up to page 30, if in the second level it's read only half or full, you guys know that, right? Because I know when I read, it'll say, do you want to continue? And then you hit yes, and it moves up. And then it opens.
Do the writers know how far the reader has read? So if you've read to page 35 and then stopped, are they aware? Oh, I guess they would see that based on your notes.
They would see that, yeah. That's actually something that we aren't showing at the moment that would be helpful to put on there. Level 1, you know what that's going to be. Level 2 is the question mark, mostly as if somebody just read half or the full thing. Right. So that would be a helpful thing. We'll put that on there.
Yeah.
Well, if they passed, then they read half, right? And if they
that's usually the metric. If they recommend it, they read the whole thing. If they pass, they usually stopped halfway.
And my notes, I mean, usually when I'm giving notes, if I use a page number and it says, on page 27, so it sort of becomes obvious that you read to page 30.
Yeah. Your on-page notes are showing more.
Yeah. We do know that internally, though. Yeah.
Right. So that when you get a script of level 1 and you have on-page notes on page 28, 29, the reader has read up to page 30 at least.
So is there anything that I didn't ask or that we didn't ask that we should have asked? Is there anything that you want to say as we wrap this up?
No.
Probably.
You want to take a minute? Or
I think that covers most of it.
Maybe Ramesh has another question. I don't know.
Annie actually brought this up. She said people might pay to guarantee at least 2 full reads with notes in case it doesn't reach past level 1. This could inform people if they have a muddied middle act, setups, payoffs that don't work, etc. I think she's talking more about like a development notes section service beyond that. You know what I mean?
We're considering what we can do, because we do know there's a need for some of this stuff. But yeah, to even include like 2 full reads, that could jack up the price by $160, $200, kind of thing. So what we really tried with this, we agonized about trying to get a price point that would be somewhat affordable, but allow us to pay readers. And then our profit margin isn't that much, honestly. But we just really want to get something out there that we could afford to get the amount of reads done and make sure everybody gets paid for that, but also make it somewhat affordable for
and also, I think that the cost in some cases can help to separate the wheat from the chaff, where maybe people will say, maybe this is just a first draft and I'm a first-time writer. Maybe I should find a cheaper alternative and really try to get the script into tip-top shape as best I can before I invest the $330, because it's minus $50 right now to enter the Gauntlet.
I mean, again, that price, we had to we're paying them a competitive rate, and they're already reading scripts for companies. So to be incentivized to do that reading, you have to pay them well. And the whole point of that is, again, that you're getting the most professional readers that are, that have their foot in the door, that have day jobs. A lot of these places are using people that used to talk about in the past. They're all present day working for these people.
And actually, Annie's thing was that payment increase could be an option the writer could choose. I'm not stating it needs to be 2 full reads for the $380, but perhaps a 2 read guaranteed for, say, $500. So. Yeah,
that's a good advice, and that's an option we're kind of considering. We're probably going to have something on that coming in a few months, but we're still talking it over, figuring out what's the best approach.
Lisa Scott is being a little squirrely here. She says, since women make 69 cents on the dollar compared to men, maybe we should get a discount to reflect. Thank you, Lisa. Anything else, guys? I don't want to. This was really. Listen, I really appreciate. You guys really are transparent. You.
Hey.
Oh
no.
He's on the phone. I mean, look at this. I mean,
that must be somebody pretty important.
What are you kidding me? I mean,
making deals while we're
this is
just
this is the low quality stuff that we do here. This is not high production value, or anything like that. But you guys really are transparent, and people are still asking questions, but we've got to end this at some point. And
they can email our IT, right, Brian? Like, what's the best way for them to
support@scripttop.com. We'll take any questions. We also have an FAQ. If you go to the Gauntlet website, basically go to scripttop.com, click on the Gauntlet link. If that page doesn't answer any questions, there's an FAQ at the bottom that goes into depth on a lot of stuff. But any questions, feel free to hit up. We are super happy with our support staff. You will get a giant response, lots of information. We're really proud of that.
Well, we saw it, and I think it looks really good. Someone is saying, can you share the link of that video that you mentioned earlier? They can find that on the scripthop.com.
What the readers look for.
Yeah, if you do search for Script Hop on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel.
There you go.
Our marketing person's working on that. It should be up
and
there.
I'll grab the link and I'll post it on our page too.
Oh, you're back. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, my host. My host called. I had to take it.
We didn't mean to interrupt you at all. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. This has been really informative. Remember, we did a part 1 of this back in March. And so if you want to get more information, you could watch that. And I suspect maybe we'll bring you guys back again when things go even farther, because people seem to be really interested. So thank you so much, Scott, Brian. We really, really appreciate you taking 2 hours and 9 minutes out of your day. And thank you, everybody, for sticking around. Also, we appreciate you all.
Thank you, everyone.